Hello, this is a quick video overview of your next writing assignment, which is the APA abstract. Now, in order to complete this assignment, I would encourage you to go to Module 16, and you're going to see that there are two modules that I would encourage you to either print out, if you do have a printer accessible. If you don't, at least download these two documents to your computer, your laptop, your smartphone, and these are letter A and also letter B, which are below Module 16. And you'll notice these are the two handouts right here. Right here. This is essentially an overview of the assignment. I am going to have a presentation in a moment I'm going to use to explain the assignment. However, all of the information on that particular presentation is also included in this handout. It's just in a different structure, okay? And you're going to notice also I have a student example for you. That's the second document that I want you to view. And I don't want you to be very intimidated about this assignment, okay? You're going to notice in the student example and also the presentation that we're going to be looking at in just a moment. This particular assignment, and I have on the slideshow just kind of an overview of the 3 pages, it's not long. All of you have survived writing the ePortfolio literary criticism essay, and I know that was an intimidating and stressful essay for some of you because it was being submitted in a new medium, the ePortfolio. Some of you are not always great with technology. Well, the good news is you're not really going to have to use a new form of technology. You can write your abstract in Microsoft Word, or you can write it in Google Docs, whatever's comfortable for you. So you're going to use the same formatting you've likely used for other writing assignments in other courses. Now, as far as this assignment, again, don't be intimidated. There's only 3 pages that you're doing for this assignment. You're going to have the first page is what's called a title page or a cover page for the assignment. The second page is an abstract, which is basically a summary of an article which you're going to find. And the third page is a reference page, which is very similar to a works cited page, which you've written where you have your source or sources publication information. Now, to complete this assignment, you do have several tasks that you're going to have to take. The first task that you need to take is you are going to have to research. Okay, so in order to do this, you are going to go to our college website, okay, and I'm going to pull up just a separate page. You're going to go to mgcc.edu, go to My Gulf Coast, and you're going to search under Students, click on Library, give it just a moment, and then Databases. And these instructions are outlined on that handout I gave you. You could use the first database here, Academic Search Complete. However, if you want to use some of the other databases, that's fine as well. Now, I did want to mention that you are required to have passwords. So you may want to go back and look under Module 16. And if you've forgotten the passwords, or if you don't have a copy of those library database passwords, you notice letter D has these passwords. Now, if you use Magnolia or EBSCO, this is the username and the password that you would need to use to get into that particular program. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do that, but you're going to need to first get into the database. Now, let me explain next what you're going to be doing with the actual assignment. Now, you're going to notice in the presentation, I mentioned that I want you to go to your database and I want you to search educational apps. Okay. Now, you're probably like, educational apps, what does that mean? Okay. Now, I want to ensure that you understand why we're writing this particular assignment, the APA abstract, first before you get into what you're searching. Now, you have 2 reasons for doing this particular assignment. The first reason is we, as the Language Arts Department, have been asked to introduce you to a second type of research writing. The type of research writing you've done so far in our class is MLA, Modern Language Association, which is a great type of research style writing, but you may be asked in other classes, such as the psychology course, or if you're an education major, any of those education classes, to write in an APA format. APA stands for American Psychological Association. So we want you to learn a second research style. So when you go into another class and you're asked to write MLA or APA, you have some type of understanding of both the research styles. Now, this is not a whole research paper, but it is a short writing assignment to just merely introduce you to APA writing. Now, the second reason that we want you to do this particular assignment is, essentially we want you to be aware of yourself as someone who uses technology. Now, as far as technology in our lives, I took a poll, a survey of sorts, in one of my English Comp 2 classes. And this was last year. It was a class of about 20 students, and I also polled myself, so 21 total people were polled, surveyed, and I asked them on average in a day how many hours did the student use his or her smartphone. Now, after I calculated everyone's survey, essentially as a class of 21 people, on average, all of us used our smartphones for 8 hours a day, which is kind of eye-opening and frightening at the same time. Now, unfortunately, most of us, when we use our smartphones, we're using them for social media, maybe for entertainment purposes. Now, we do use them sometimes for, of course, email and school assignments and for communication purposes, but we need to use them for better purposes. Smartphones need to be used to make us smarter, more productive. So I'm asking you to go onto EBSCO, Magnolia Project, and I want you to search. You can search very broadly if you want to, educational apps, okay? Or if you want to, you can search something more specific. Now, when I say educational apps, I'm using the term very broadly. Okay, it's just an example for you. Now, you can find a web application. This can be something that can be downloaded to your smartphone or to your computer or tablet, but it needs to be something that has educational worth to an individual. It could be something specific to a class, like something that would benefit your English, your Spanish, your psychology, or math class. It could be something specific to your major, something that would benefit a nursing student or an engineering student. It also could be something that's not related to academic education at all, maybe to health, physical education, something that would benefit you in maybe ways to deter anxiety, methods to help you be less depressed, ways to get you exercising or to lose or gain weight. It can be something with physical health to educate yourself. It also could be just practical web apps that can help anyone on a day-to-day basis. So when I say educational apps, I use that term very loosely. You can find something that's more specific to something that would benefit you. I want you to find an app that would benefit you, but also you think it could benefit others, your classmates, for example. Now, after you find that article, you need to, of course, read through it. Okay, in that article, there needs to be maybe one particular web app discussed, or it could be an article that discusses several web apps and you want to focus in on one. So that's your first task, is to find that article on an educational web app for a smartphone or computer and make sure that the article discusses it enough that you can understand the app and its usage and be able to explain it later in your abstract. So that's your first task, okay? And this is outlined in the directions as well. So that's task 1. Okay, task 2, you actually need to start writing your APA abstract once you find your article and you read through it. Now, the first page of any APA assignment is a title or cover page. Now, you'll notice in MLA writing, like if you're assigned an MLA documented research paper, it's optional. You do not always have to have a title page. Now, if you're ever assigned an APA assignment in another class, it's always required. And I have an example of a title page for you here. Just make sure you're going to notice some things that are different from MLA. First off, you need to make sure the header in MLA is your last name and page number, but in APA it's different. In APA, on the first page, you put running head, only on the first page. And then you do not put your last name, you put a shortened version of your assignment title. If it's a short title, you can actually use the title. Like our title is going to be APA Abstract. Now notice it's all in caps, the header. And this, now running head's only on the first page, but the second and third page, you're going to have an all capitalized condensed version of your title. So APA Abstract 1, then 2, then 3 on the preceding pages. Now, you're then going to essentially double space down 3 lines and you're going to do your header. And I kind of overview everything you're going to have here. You're going to have your first and last name after your title of the assignment, and you can just title this APA Abstract, really easy. Then our course number, my name, and you do need to put instructor and the date when this is going to be due, okay, which ours is obviously a different date than this one, okay. Now, if you'll notice on the example one, if you have the example assignment printed up or if you have it on downloaded, this is an example of the title page, okay? Now, the second page is what's called the abstract. This is what's actually going to take you a little bit longer. Okay, so let me go back to our slideshow. Now, for your second task, this is where you're actually going to write an abstract. An abstract is a summary. A summary is an overview. In this case, you're overviewing the article that you found on EBSCO, on that particular database. Okay, now APA abstracts, they can have different purposes for different assignments. Our assignment is I've assigned you to find an article and to summarize it in an abstract. Now, later on, if you're ever asked to write an APA formatted essay, the abstract is basically you summarizing the content of your whole essay. Now, we're not doing that, but if you would like to see an example of that particular scenario, you'll notice I have a lot of APA handouts. You're not going to need all of them by any means, but there's an APA sample research paper, and it basically shows you a whole essay. Now, what's cool about this is it's an APA formatted research paper that tells you how to write an APA formatted research paper, and you can see an abstract like that. But we're not doing an abstract like that. You're just going to do a summary of the article that you found. Okay. Now, on this next slide, I essentially give you a sentence by sentence scenario of how you want to write your APA abstract, because again, you are writing a summary which overviews your article's content. So these particular bullets, they overview the structure. Also, you'll notice on that handout that I gave you, that is outlined as well. If you look about on the 4th page, these are also listed here. Okay, so either the handout or on the presentation, you can look at either of these. Now, you're going to have an abstract, a summary of about 1 to 6 sentences. Now, as far as the structure, I really encourage y'all to use the structure because it'll just make writing your abstract much, much easier. Now, you'll notice that with the first sentence, this is just a sentence that overviews the content of your particular article. Okay, if you mention the article title, that's going to be in quotation marks. If you mention the database, like if it's Magnolia Project, or if you want to put like Academic Search Premier or Academic Search Complete, either of the databases, that would be in italics. You also can reference the author. Now, I do want to point out that with authors' names and APA formatting, you never use the author's first or middle name. You only use initials. So even if in the article the name is Todd Lane Stringer, you're only going to use T.L. Stringer in the abstract and also on the reference page. Okay. The second sentence, okay, you are going to be essentially overviewing any information about the author if it's available. This is where you show the credibility of the author. You know, if they have any educational or professional background, like where they went to school, the degrees they acquired, and also maybe the place or places where they've worked, you could have that sentence. Now, if you don't have that bibliographic information about your author, don't worry about it. Just skip through that. Then the third and fourth sentences are really the summary of what the article discussed. Really focus in on, did the article focus in on one app, or did it discuss several apps? Did it focus in on the usage of the app, the ways it's beneficial to the user? Are there any drawbacks of the app? Now, you're going to overview some of those ideas in kind of your first sentence that kind of acts like a thesis for the paragraph, but you're going to really go into detail about that in your third to fourth sentences. And then your fifth to sixth, or you may just have 5, this is kind of your closure for the paragraph. If you look at the student example, you're going to notice this is this particular student's abstract. Notice she mentions the author's name, the title of the actual article, also where she found it. She didn't put the database. She actually put the magazine where she found this information. And then she overviews what the article discussed, then focuses in on one particular app that was found with the others, and then ends on that app's usage and benefit to the actual, user. And I encourage you to use the student example as a reference for writing your own abstract. It will make it much easier. And as far as task 4, I encourage you, after you write your abstract, have a family member or friend look over it. Since they're not familiar with the web app, they can read through your summary and tell you if you need any further clarification on the actual app and its usage. If they do need clarification, that means you need more specific details. Now, as far as for task 5, this is your reference page. This is going to be a whole lot easier if you use the databases, because remember, on the databases, you can select the Cite Now option, select APA, and then you can copy and paste the publication information into your reference page. If you didn't do that, I would encourage you to reference some of these APA handouts for the documentation of that. Thank you.